Hey everyone, welcome to this video, and what I'm going to go through is something that I've been talking through quite a lot with my Ecom Blueprint community, which is my paid community and up-level mastermind, where I help e-commerce brands hit their first 10K, 20K, all up to 100K per month. And we've been talking about 2026 and what that actually looks like. Now, when we've debriefed 2025, and I do this every single year personally with my own businesses, and of course I help others do that as well, because what we can learn and what we can extract from years, months, weeks, even sometimes days gone by are valuable lessons. The definition of insanity is obviously doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And so the review process is really important when you get the time. But when do we have time? We have to make the time, obviously, right? We never feel like we've got enough time. And when we say we'll do something over a break, we have the break for that exact reason, to take a break. So typically we don't really get a chance to go and do it, which is my experience and why we dedicate, specific days to just this one thing of reviewing, right? So upon reviewing 2025, looking into 2026, the discussion formed around sales, and let's call it any inconsistencies with sales and seasonality with sales throughout your e-commerce business. So naturally, as you may have experienced, if you have a brand yourself, you've been going for, say, at least 12 months, but it's better to have, say, 2, 3, 5 years worth of experience and data to, feel the impact of this. You'll see some sort of seasonality with your business, okay? It might just go like this. It might go jagged. It might go, slowly ramp to the middle of the year, kind of dip down a little bit and then ramp back up to the year. In the case of Karmic, the cold pressed juice company that I co-founded in 2013 with my brother, after a few years of being in business, we realized that the revenues were like a bit of a smiley face, meaning they would be high at the start of the year. They would kind of dip down towards the middle of the year. It goes winter, goes cold. No one wants to, do juice cleanses. And then spring, it starts to tip back up, and towards the end of the year. That's probably typical for the health industry typically. Now, important consideration is really twofold. The first thing I'll just preface what I'm going to say with this is, when you've been in business for a little while, what you want to see is that year-on-year growth, right? So if ours is a smiley face, if Karmic's was a smiley face in terms of its revenues, how it typically goes, meaning high to low on a chart, we want to see year-on-year that smiley face increase in levels each time, right? So this year is higher than last year, higher than the year before, higher than the year before, etc. Okay, so that's what you typically want to look at. Now, when you look at the micro, meaning when we look at a 12-month period, it's like, well, how can we get either a straight line of growth, which is impossible? We look at basically averages. Or how can we get as steady as possible, right? Meaning bringing our lower months up and having our peaking still kind of peaking as well, or improving upon that. But more so, how can we mitigate the down months, which is the real question? Because some businesses, if they're doing less than $10,000 a month, those lower periods can potentially be unprofitable months, which is a recipe for disaster when we're just bleeding cash. We've only got so long that we can actually last in the game at that rate. So how do we bring those levels of revenues up so that we're actually profitable and have cash in the bank to deploy when we really need it, honestly, like during those pivotal sales periods? So one thing that I talk about is hidden sales. Okay, now this isn't some sort of secret magic sauce. It's actually about understanding that it's called hidden. I call it hidden because it's a creation. Like, it actually comes out of thin air. Now, stay with me for a second. We as business owners have the ability to create money, right? Before you started your business, you weren't making any money. That product wasn't available. That offering wasn't available, right? Your business didn't exist. You weren't making any money. But then suddenly one day you decide, I'm going to create a business. I'm going to sell this and I'm going to price it at this, and people are going to pay me that. You started to fabricate money by having an offer. It's crazy to think about in those terms, but I really like to relate it to that because it creates an abundance mindset, right? It means that you can do it again and make that more and make multiples of. And so this is how you should look at your yearly forecasting or yearly plans is, okay, with that knowledge, with that experience, I can fabricate or create money whenever and wherever I like. Okay, there are obviously some limitations on that, but you can't be thinking in the limitations of market and people are away and market constraints of this and competitors this. It's like, we're all running our own race. And if you have an infinite mindset to how you run your business, you can literally do anything you want whenever you want. And with that, time and speed and action taking is completely subjective. Your level of speed, your level of action taking, your level of activity is different to mine or the next person, which in a positive light means we can always do more. We can always be faster. We can always be creating more money, more sales. Right, now let me get down into kind of the practicals of this. So when I relate this to the hidden sales, and with that knowledge of doing what we want and what we are possibly capable of doing, then every single month, every single week even, we can create something out of thin air. We can create an offer, okay? We always think about things like Christmas is coming up or Black Friday's coming up or end of financial year. We have those pivotal times, and that is, let's call it our excuse or our trigger to go and create an offer for our audience, to go and make sales, to crank out ads, to send more emails. It's like a common acceptance that people go and do that. So you're like, okay, I'll be part of that too. Hopefully you're in that boat just regardless. But in those off months, you want to create the same level of environment, right? You don't want it just to be Easter. You want to create your January, February, March, right? Your May, July, August, all those months that we don't have something that's, call it, market accepted in terms of creating offers and sales. We want to fabricate that. So I'll give you some examples. What you basically look at is what your industry or what your customers resonate with, okay? People have tried to fabricate this in their own way, like Afterpay and Amazon and all that sort of stuff. They just literally created days for business to participate in. So if your customers participate in those days, you should participate in those days. When Carmick started doing Afterpay Day, my first question was, why on earth are we doing that? And my brother, who's, let's call it the wiser one of the two, said, well, that's what our customers accept, right? We are a mainstream business these days, and therefore we should be doing mainstream things. Now, I would even go further and say, even if you're not a mainstream business, you haven't been in business that long, act as if. You should be acting as if you are a big multi-million-dollar multinational corporation or company, right? Never feel that you're too small to do those things, because it will pay dividends over time. It will compound over time, and you will generate sales where you didn't even think possible you could generate sales. So when it comes to 2026, that's what we're looking at from my clients in my program, right? Most of them hit record revenue months last month because we went so hard on these campaigns that we're talking about. We did more activity than we've ever done. We presented better offers, not discounts, better offers, better positioning, better psychological triggers to their customers that paid absolute dividends. People made more money than they ever have before because of what I'm talking about here. And so you can do the same. So with your January, what is the event that you're going to create? Australia Day, middle of the month day, first birthday, whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter actually about the reason, it's actually about the offer and then the communication form, right? People don't care that it was your third birthday. All they care is it's your third birthday. We're running a 33% off sale for 3 days only, right? That's a great offer. That's a catchy offer. Do they really care about how old your business is or when you actually establish your business? No, they don't even know that. They're not paying attention. They do not care. It's not about the event, all right? So you have the ability then and the right and the freedom to go and create these things month on month on month on month. And I've seen this time and time again where people create something out of nothing and their low months suddenly become some of their better months. And they build momentum after momentum after momentum. And then their bigger sales periods, like Black Friday, like end of financial year, like Christmas, become even bigger because their customer base has grown over that period of time, because their sphere of influence, like their audience, has grown over that time. They've had so much high intent and activity level throughout the period of time in between the last Black Friday and the next Black Friday that it is inevitable that they double, triple, quadruple their sales. And they can be gratified and satisfied with those results that they've earned them long before the event actually occurred, right? So my message to you, if you're listening to this, is, again, you have the right and the ability to create money, create sales, generate something out of nothing. And I encourage you to do that. Not wait to be reactive or have the excuse that, oh, okay, we have to be involved now. Now is a great time. People accept that. No, you can create anything at any time. And you must be doing it as regularly as possible. I would say at the very least, every single month within your business, and you just test offers, test communication platforms, test the responses, gather data, gather feedback, improve and iterate and rinse and repeat the same rollout as you had, and obviously improve upon and increase the action taking as well. So that's my message to you. That's helped. That's the hidden sales tactic that we've been using, that people use throughout our program, our paid communities. And I want to share that with you because I know it's going to help you if you actually take it seriously and you implement it the way I've instructed you to today. So look, if you got value out of this, I'd love a like, I'd love a subscribe. If you want to know more about how we help e-commerce business, you can click on the link below. But other than that, I hope you got value from this video. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.